Football icon Lionel Messi has wrapped up his India GOAT tour. However, it has left us with some pertinent questions. Are we building sport or just celebrating stars? Did Messi's India tour fail to honor commitment? How does Messi's India GOAT tour shape India's image on the world stage? Well, these are some questions that we are left with. Let's start from the beginning. Messi's India visit began last Saturday in Kolkata, then moving on to Hyderabad, Mumbai and then New Delhi. Across all these cities, the tour attracted massive crowds and exclusive VIP interactions. While the enthusiasm highlighted India's fascination with global sporting icons, with the spotlight extending to politicians, lawmakers and Bollywood stars. However, the fans who spent a fortune, some even spending hefty amounts on the tickets, were left in the background because the event drifted from its very core purpose. Rather than placing fans at the center, the tour unfolded as a tightly controlled appearance shaped by access and optics. And that's exactly what we witnessed in Kolkata. A local mess which turned into a global embarrassment because what unfolded in Kolkata did not remain a local issue for long. Within hours, videos of the chaos spread across social media and global platforms. Fans threw chairs, bottles and vandalized stadium property against not being able to see Messi. But we are not just talking about the Kolkata mess here on the show. There's a larger question we ask. Are we building sport or just celebrating stars? Especially for a country like India that is keen to put forth itself as a capable country a capable host of major sporting events. The optics of Messi's India tour were damaging to that very image. All right, let's now tell you about how there are various sporting legends who've come out and open, and they've rather spoken about Messi's India tour. One of them being Indian sporting icon Abhinav Bindra, who has struck a reflective chord as the nation remained gripped by Messi mania. While Bindra did not criticize Lionel Messi, he raised a hard-hitting question on whether India is truly investing in a sporting culture or merely celebrating global stars from afar. Well, NDTV's managing editor Shiv Arur has spoken to former Indian footballer Bhaichung Bhutia. Take a listen as to what Bhaichung Bhutia has to say on all the Messi mania that unfolded in India in the last 3 days.
Did it bother you that there was so much VIP access? You know, the politicians hogging the limelight, getting into the frames. You know, one can understand, sponsors have to get their share of the moment with him. But so much selfie culture with the netas, sports minister, etc., taking all the limelight. And we saw that the fans really didn't get their due.
No, I think Messi's tour of India, and especially with Kolkata trip, the first trip, I think made aware that how much VIP culture is there in sports. And this has been happening over the years. I think if you look at any sporting event, the sport and the sports person should be getting the priority, but it's always been stars or some big bureaucrats coming in. So I think this kind of changes has to happen because the sport has to be given the priority. And I think Messi's tour and especially the Bengal tour has exposed that this has been happening. And yes, I think it was a disaster thing that's the way it happened in Kolkata. But as I said, it's been happening over the years. And I hope with this incident, with Messi's trip to India, and especially with Kolkata, the way things were managed, I hope in future that, sport is given the importance, the sports person there. I've seen a lot of, sporting events in India, bigger ones or smaller ones. You all wait for Neta or a chief guest to come in.
Yeah.
Till the time the chief guest is not there, the match also gets delayed. And then when you come in, there's a match happening, there's a bhasan, there is speech for the chief guest, whoever may be bureaucrat or a politician or a film star. I think the sport is the most important thing, and people have come to watch the sport and the sports person there. And in those occasions, those events, I think the sports person and the sports has to be given the maximum priority and not have a VIP culture and look after only the VIP ones and the chief guests.
All right, to talk more on this, Dilip Cherian, who is a communication consultant, is now joining me live in Newsnight. Thank you for joining us here on NDTV, Mr. Cherian. First up, I want to ask you, whatever transpired in Messi's India Goat Tour, how does that position India when it comes to sporting events with so much VIP access that we saw, selfie culture, juxtaposition to the fans being left disappointed? How does all of this play out and impact India's image on the world stage?
My anxiety is that the way the Messi tour has gone in at least 3 cities, and in fact, actually the fourth also, has impacted India's image in that it's not been seen as a sporting nation. We look more like a star-obsessed nation, and we've allowed stars to run riot over the event, and we've forgotten that Messi is here because he's truly one of the world's great sportsmen. And that's the image we've let out to the world, that we are obsessed with celebritydom and fandom of a certain kind, but not enough enthusiasm about sports and sports, what sports stands for.
Right, aptly said, Mr. Cherian. There was everything that happened during the last 3 days when it comes to Messi's India Goat Tour, apart from sports. Like you also highlighted, with the VIP culture taking center stage and this broad sentiment doing the rounds that despite the fans paying thousands, in some cases lakhs, just to get a glimpse of Messi, they were left far behind. I'm just circling back to the same question, Mr. Cherian. Are we building sport or just celebrating stars in India?
It would be impossible for the number of fans that Messi has to be able to actually have any physical or closer contact with him. But I think that where they would have been quite satisfied is if Messi was seen publicly interacting with India's future sports people, and preferably football stars, because we have young teams who are actually doing well globally, and this would have been a great opportunity for Messi to be seen publicly interacting or just kicking a ball for them. And that's all that the fans should have wanted to see. Instead, we had random celebrities with nothing to do with the sport, especially film stars, attempting to, and politicians attempting to take center stage. And fans hated that. The second thing which we need to keep in mind is that what came through starkly to the whole world, and this comes through quite often, is the huge gap between the privileged few VIPs and the huge mass of people whose enthusiasm all these stars actually live on.
Right, Mr. Cherian, you've highlighted how this event just broadened the gap between the haves and the have-nots, between the privileged and the not-so-privileged one, which just brings me to my last question. Considering whatever happened during Messi's India Goat Tour, do we have the leadership to host such massive events, and how can this VIP culture be changed in the future?
The only way we have come through in this is we are creating a large question mark on whether we have either the leadership for moving towards Olympics in the future. That's one. And the second thing is that as far as we are concerned, we should actually be seen as a country that is spending money on making sure that we create sports facilities rather than voyeuristic opportunities of this kind. We really need to focus on our teams and the young people playing sports.
Right, aptly said, Mr. Cherian. Thank you so much for joining us here on NDTV and sharing your insights with us. Well, angry fans attending Lionel Messi's store in Kolkata ripped up seats and threw items towards the pitch after his appearance at Salt Lake Stadium in Kolkata. They were left disappointed when he emerged to walk around the pitch and was obscured by a large group of officials and stars. Let's in fact listen in to their reactions and how disappointed were the fans.
एकदम घटिया इवेंट 10 मिनट के लिए आया, सारे नेता मंत्री कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिसर सब उनको घेर लिए, कुछ नहीं देख पाए, ना एक किक आउट करवाया, ना एक पेनल्टी लिया, कुछ नहीं किया। शाहरुख खान को भी लाना का बोला था, कुछ नहीं लाया, 10 मिनट के लिए आया, चला गया, पूरा फ्रॉड करके चला गया। इतना लोगों का पैसा, इमोशन, टाइम सब बर्बाद, कुछ नहीं देख पाए, कुछ नहीं देख पाए।
नहीं किया जा रहा है मेसी को, क्योंकि इतना भीड़ है उसके आसपास में। हम लोग सोचे थे कि एक बार बॉल टच करेगा या फिर कुछ फ्री किक भी होगा या फिर पेनल्टी भी शूट आउट होगा दोनों तरफ, कुछ नहीं, बस आया, देखा और चला गया। हम लोग स्पॉट ही नहीं कर पाए सही से, 10 मिनट भी नहीं था सही से। बाहर सब लोग देख रहे हैं, मतलब अंदर से हम लोग कुछ नहीं देख पा रहे। ये एक फ्रॉड के अलावा और कुछ नहीं कह सकते हम लोग।
बहुत घटिया था, वो बॉल दिखाया था बुके में, पेनल्टी शूट आउट होगा, कुछ भी नहीं था, पूरा शिट था, बहुत घटिया, बहुत खराब, बहुत कुछ भी नहीं देख पाया, पूरा स्कैम था, पूरा स्कैम, पूरा वेस्ट टाइम।
We are very disappointed because हम अपने it's a weekend right for the children and we came that my child was so excited कि हम मेसी को देखेंगे, पर हम मेसी को नहीं देखे। It was full disappointment, and it's a scam I think for people around.
मैनेजमेंट बहुत बुरा था, बहुत बुरा था। मैनेजमेंट एकदम बकवास था। इतना पैसा खर्च करके लोग दूर दूर से आए हैं और ये हम लोगों को देखने को मिला। हम लोग एग्जिट गेट पे थे, उसीलिए थोड़ा झलक मिला, और इतना मॉब था मीडिया और वीआईपी के साथ, बहुत बुरा।
Yeah, that was really disappointing. We came all the way from Darjeeling just for this. We paid like 12,000 and the people around them, like Messi, we couldn't even see him properly. That was like the most disappointing thing I have ever witnessed. India will remain the same. It's like the store and all.
Disappointing paying that hefty amount of money. It's just that they had 50 people around him who were going around him, and we couldn't even get a glimpse of him for once. It was just those ministers, whoever were there, and he just waved a couple of times and that's it.
The minimum ticket was 5K, and why were the VVIPs around Messi? We couldn't even see him, we couldn't even get a glimpse of him. So why, was this scripted? I don't know. Why weren't the police taking action? I don't know anything. Everyone was furious. Everyone was very furious.
He said that's just a scam, a business. They have made a profit out of the people's money. It's just a scam. It's a scam. It's a scam. Yeah.